It's my birthday, and I couldn't make it to the tropics, but I did make it to the greenhouse. It's 32 degrees in here right now, so feels pretty nice. I think that any birthday that you have that you're above ground for is a good birthday, so I'm definitely not upset about turning 38, but it is a bit of a unique time for me, and I wanted to explain why. The number 38 has always stood out to me. Lots of people are always thinking about turning 30 or 40 or 50. All of those milestones tend to fall on, the decade numbers. But to me, 38 was always the one that I was anticipating. And not necessarily for the best reasons, but I'm also kind of looking forward to getting it in the past without any sort of problem. So I just got my fingers crossed that 38 can be a good, happy year for me, and I can move on from it. When I was a child, when I was in grade 1, however old that is, my father, who was a firefighter, went to a fire in a chemical storage type building, and he actually had a heart attack within a week of going there. A lot of his friends got sick there as well. Lots of bad stuff in the air at that one. And he's still around. He's definitely been a fighter, and he's taken it all the way to having a heart transplant now. But his trips to the hospital when we were young, he was kind of in and out of the hospital for lots of my youth, and obviously lots of his life. Those trips shaped my childhood, and they brought me some anxiety about hospitals. I still even though I'm not afraid of needles, I could get a physical reaction where I just pass out sometimes. I've passed out in even dentist chairs. It's weird. I'm not afraid of that stuff. It's just that it goes back to when I was a kid, and I used to pass out in the hospital seeing my dad and all these he'd be in a hospital bed and wouldn't be looking like the strong guy that I knew as my father and stuff. So it was always tough, and it kind of some of those psychological tremors or whatever have reverberated through time and are still sticking around. It's definitely lessened through time and through exposure to hospitals and stuff. I don't have nearly the same reactions, and I just can't now, because most of the time I go to a hospital now, it's taking my kids for some nothing major, but you got to take your kids to the doctor sometime to get stitches or fix this or that. So you kind of got to be on your game when you're the ones looking after your kids, right? It took me a long time to get over the fears that I had about my own mortality, and mostly I was worried about my own heart as well, as far as my own health went. Every little pain in the chest area would be oh, what is that, that type of stuff. I'm sure we've all had some form of that. Now, for the last 10 years, I haven't really experienced that at all, that anxiety. After my dad got his heart transplant, I realized that that heart that was pretty badly damaged managed to last 20 years or whatever in that damaged state until something else could go in there to take over. So at that point in time, I felt that heart actually was pretty strong, and it was just dealt kind of bum circumstances, and I was able to let go of my own anxiety about heart disease and heart problems. But that anxiety had shaped my life in other ways. I was always athletic, and I tried to focus on eating healthy, although I wouldn't say I was a healthy eater all the time. I was definitely a cheese addict, and that can make your cholesterol spike, which mine had in the past. But I went through a time when I was a vegetarian, and I've always tried to eat as much vegetables as I could. Living on the road, it's a challenge, but I definitely make the focus to try to eat healthy and to look after myself, and a lot of that is after effects of my anxiety about health from when I was young. So, it's not like all the effects have been negative. It's just, part of who I am, right? So, my dad had his heart transplant close to a dozen years ago now, right around that. And unfortunately, 6 years ago unfortunately about 6 years ago was when the diagnosis for my sister came in, and my sister had a brain tumor, which was ended up being fatal. It was a very challenging time in my life and my family's life. My sister is very intelligent. She was an engineer, and she was able to communicate with a wide variety of people and have them like her. She was a hard worker, and she's very dedicated to her book smarts when she was in school and stuff. A very studious person, and it was really challenging to see her lose her mental capability. The way that the tumor affected Holly, it affected her short-term memory and her sense of direction. So she could get lost, going to the bathroom in the home that we grew up in, as an example. And she could forget what she had just said 5 seconds before. So she was kind of just on a continuous loop. Obviously that was challenging for everyone. And when she passed, she was 38 as well. Which, further kind of compounded my fear of 38. So going into this year, myself, I feel pretty good. I've dealt with a lot of, the issues of my past and my concerns about my health. My focus now is more on my family and my kids, and I'm hoping for a really good year this year. I know this is kind of a weird birthday video to make, but part of doing this YouTube channel is, sharing who we are, and I thought that this would be a bit of interesting backstory, and it's just kind of crazy that, this is that year that I was always, wondering. I was like, 38, am I going to make it through unscathed, right? Well, now I'm about to find out how I make it through 38. Let's hope for the best. Part of this YouTube channel is about, reaching out to the community, specifically, a gardening community, but also kind of like a homesteading community, and I don't know, I thought it would be just nice to kind of put myself out there a little bit and share some of the things that have shaped me and kind of motivated me to be in front of the camera and talking about the things that we do and who we are. So 38 is the new 40. If you like our videos and you want to join our journey, then hit subscribe. And if you really like what we do, then ring that bell, because then you'll get notifications whenever we put up a new video, and our videos will be more likely to pop up in your YouTube homepage. And you can check out some of our other content. I'll put links up